Nokia is a Finnish multinational IT and consumer electronics company founded in 1866 by Fredrik and Leo. Initially, this was started as a mail company, which in no time became the world's biggest mobile company. They bought the Mobira company, which helped them in manufacturing their telecom handsets. In 1982, they invented the first car phone named Mobira Senator, which was approximately weighted 100 kg. And in 1984, they invented Mobira Talkman, the world's first transportable phone, which weighed 5 kgs. And finally, in 1987, they invented Mobira Cityman, which was only 800 grams and had huge demand in the country of Finland. In 1991, the PM of Finland, Harry Holkari, became the first person to attempt a GSM call using Nokia's phone. And in 1992, they started to spread their business in Europe and America through their 1011 model. And in late 90s, the Nokia's feature phones 2100 series had a very iconic growth. They expected to sell 4 lakh phones, but more than 2 crore phones were sold worldwide. In 1991, they expected to have a market size of 40 million by 1999, but the market size had reached more than expected to 250 million. Also, they became the world's first market shareholders ahead of the Motorola. In the beginning, they dominated the American and European markets, and later in 1997 to 1998, they also entered into the markets of developing countries such as Russia, India, and China. From 2003 to 2005, the Nokia series of 1100 and 1110 had captured the 70% of the market share. Due to this, the Nokia had to increase its manpower, its manufacturing setups, and its global presence was also increasing exponentially. Now, when Nokia had increased its setup plans, many other small companies such as Samsung and Oppo and many others had also entered the competition. At this point, Nokia had so big setup that making sudden changes for them was almost impossible, since they did not have a lean manufacturing setup. It reached its peak in 2008 by selling 450 million handsets all over the world. But now, in American and European countries, the market was switching to the Google Android phones. And finally, when the Apple iPhones were introduced into the market, the shares of Nokia started to fall drastically by 30% in the American and European countries. Also in India and China, the small companies such as Samsung and Motorola introduced the flip phone models into the market. Since this was a new model for the users, even in India and China, the shares of Nokia started to decelerate. Also, in the lower end, the Chinese companies started to make their mobile phones with a very high execution rate. Due to this, all the European and American companies also shifted their manufacturing units to China, and China became the world's mobile hub. Now, in 2009 to 2010, Nokia's high-end mobiles could not update their handset models at a faster rate. In the mid-range, Google Android had already created its community among the people, and in the low range, there was no competition with the China. Nokia was initially famous for its hardwares, but after the Apple iOS and Google Android were introduced into the market, the customers were now more interested in the softwares than the hardwares. By 2010, Apple evolved with 3 lakh applications, and Google Android evolved with approximately 1.25 lakh applications. But the operating system of Nokia, the Symbiont, did not even have 20,000 mobile applications. Now that the Apple and Android had created their community, they also created a platform where companies could come and develop their applications. So, all small-scale handset manufacturers shifted to Google. Now, companies like LG, Samsung, and HTC started to grow using Android, and the Nokia had already started to lay off their employees to reduce overlaps. Now, Google Android and Apple iOS had countless applications and a well-established ecosystem among the customers. But Nokia failed to create its community among the people along with the Microsoft. All the owners and developers of the application and the manufacturers of the handset all adopted Google Android. Android had an open ecosystem where any person could develop any application using its platform. On the other hand, Apple designed its products in such a way that all its handsets and other products such as personal computers, laptops and ITVs and smartwatches were all interlinked with each other. That is, they adopted the idea of closed ecosystem. Both Apple iOS and Google Android were successful in building their large community, whereas Nokia could not make any using Microsoft or even using its own operating system, the Symbiont.